Hey, imagine you're standing in the kitchen, debating whether that flashy new range is worth the space on your countertop, and you're thinking, do I really need 5 burners and a convection oven, or am I just adding another expensive gadget I'll barely use? I get that feeling especially when you're looking at a piece as bold as the FORNO Leonardo 30-inch Espresso white gas range. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm here to walk through the real-world experience so you can decide if it's the right fit before you drop a big chunk of cash. First off, let's talk about why this thing even exists. The Leonardo is not just a stove, it's a statement piece. The espresso-colored stainless steel shell paired with antique brass accents is meant to look like a cafe-grade espresso machine, and that aesthetic can be a huge draw if your kitchen leans toward a retro-industrial vibe. But the core question is, does the design translate into daily cooking benefits, or is it mostly eye candy? That's what I'm trying to unpack for you. The biggest practical strength of the Leonardo is its 5 independent burners, each clocking 39,500 BTU. In a real home kitchen that translates into being able to juggle multiple dishes without fighting for burner space. Picture a weekend brunch where you're frying bacon, simmering a tomato sauce, sorting veggies, and keeping a pot of coffee warm all at the same time. The large 30-inch width and 5.0 cubic foot convection oven mean you can roast a chicken while a sheet pan of vegetables bakes in the oven, then slide a batch of cookies in for dessert without opening the door and losing heat. For families or serious home chefs who love to multitask, this layout can shave 10 to 15 minutes off an otherwise cramped cooking session. Now, the flip side, what you might not see at first glance, is the sheer amount of space this range takes up. At 5 burners plus a convection oven, the unit measures well over 3 feet in width and needs a dedicated gas line. If you're in a smaller apartment or even a modest suburban kitchen, you'll have to reconfigure your layout. That can mean moving a pantry, rethinking counter space, or even dealing with a new venting requirement. For anyone who's already tight on space, the Leonardo could become a logistical nightmare rather than a convenience. Another point that catches people off guard is the gas connection itself. The range runs on natural gas, and while most new homes have a line in the kitchen, older houses often use propane or have no line at all. Converting to natural gas can involve a professional plumber and extra cost, which isn't something you see on the product page. If you're renting or living in a place where you can't modify the gas supply, this could be a deal breaker. On the other hand, if you have a built-in gas hookup, the immediate ignition knobs feel solid, and the burners heat up quickly, practically no lag when you go from off to full flame. One of the practical strengths that often gets lost in the glossy marketing videos is the convection oven's true performance. Because the oven is integrated, the heat circulates more evenly than in many standard wall ovens. In my hands-on trial, a batch of homemade pizza came out with a perfectly crisp crust and evenly melted cheese without the need for a stone or a preheat wait that lasts beyond 10 minutes. The 5.0 cu foot capacity also handles a full turkey with room to spare, making it a solid option for holiday cooking. If you're someone who bakes bread, roasts sizable cuts, or frequently entertains, the built-in convection can be a real time saver. But there's a trade-off in the form of cleaning. The stainless steel surface looks sleek, but the espresso finish, while stylish, can show fingerprints and food splatters more readily. The oven's interior is stainless steel too, which means you'll need to wipe it down after each use to keep it looking fresh. If you're the kind of cook who prefers a low-maintenance surface, maybe you use a lot of sauces that splatter, the Leonardo will demand a bit more attention than a plain black or white enamel range. The brass handles, while charming, can also tarnish if they're exposed to salty or acidic spills and aren't regularly polished. Another nuance is the control layout. The 5 burners each have a separate knob, and the oven temperature and bake convection switches are placed in a central console. For someone used to a single, sleek digital panel, the analog knobs might feel retro, but they also give tactile feedback that many chefs appreciate. The downside is that each knob can be a little stiff, especially if you have larger hands, so adjusting from a low simmer to a full boil can take a second or two longer than on a modern touch panel stove. For most home cooks it's a minor inconvenience, but for a professional who needs quick, precise temperature changes, it could be a subtle hindrance. Now, who should definitely consider this?